Santosh Kumar Singh is joining us now to talk more about markets and his approach to the market. Santosh, afternoon. Thank you so much for your time. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you on your differentiated call on technology stocks. They were being beaten black and blue when we were we were in discussion last time, and you stood out and say this is a good time to start accumulating. These prices may not be there in a hurry, and the market has rallied. The IT stocks have rallied very smartly since then. Are you still holding your stance of being constructing, and are you still looking at declines to add IT going into the year?
So definitely, see, IT, last time we were discussing that Q1 will be the worst quarter from the point of view of earnings, right? And then I think it turned out to be that way because the view is that, see, Q2 also may not be that strong, given that this is a sector where you first create the book and then you earn on that. So, but if you look at the overall sort of deal wins, that is very healthy in the sector. So deal wins are healthy, and at the same time, if I think 4 or 5 years, digitization, artificial intelligence, everything is going to be very positive for this particular sector. So the mega trends are positive for the sector. The near term is slightly bad, maybe quarters here or there. And then the valuations are pricing in some of the bad case scenarios. So definitely I'm positive on, still hold my view on the IT sector, that this is a sector where one can buy.
Santosh, there is a lot of stuff happening in the NBFCs. You like that space. There is one NBFC, which is India Bull Housing Finance, from 1500 fell to sub 100, and now there's a resurrection being tried out there, led by the largest shareholder, LIC. There is another NBFC which got beaten very badly because of their large exposure to wholesale. But in the last 2-3 quarters, signs that it is coming back to retail, and now 50-50 and holding an investor day today, Piramal Enterprises. And then a very large, I would say the largest NBFC being born. Though business is not in yet, but indications are that it will have a very large business in it. I don't want a stock reaction on either of them. I want to understand which of this or any other, the business, the way it is shaping up, you are analyzing. If I'm not wrong, your house has been buying one of these on Friday. The block deal data is also showing the largest one.
Yeah, we might be holding 2 of those stocks, not the third one. So that's a different thing. But overall, if you look at this particular space, NBFC is a congregation of sectors. It's not one sector. So that's we need to remember. And whenever the revival starts, it starts with the retail NBFCs. So what we have seen is the retail NBFCs in the first phase doing really, really well, and all these wholesale NBFCs whose lending book was in that particular space were not doing well. And then the reason behind that is very simple. That the resolution in wholesale NBFCs is very important for a revival of the cycle, right? And then in mid cycle, a lot of resolution starts happening, and that's what is happening in some of the NBFCs where wholesale was a large portion of the book. Also, the other part which is happening is that there is a lot of change in management, or the change the way they were doing business. They are trying to change it. And this is one space of the market which is still quite cheap if you compare it with other spaces in the market. So yes, we keep liking this particular space, but yes, NBFCs, I would not say that NBFCs per se, you can say that that's one sector. You have to be very specific on which area you want to be.
Santosh, you are also making a point that by next year, mid next year, interest rates globally are likely to peak out. So obviously, we all know if interest rates peak out, what it does for equities and asset class. But also mid-year, there is an election in India. And, just 10 minutes back, one of the agencies is reporting that the government has announced extension of free, grain, the extension of that scheme into next year. How big a factor is that for India reform momentum, or how market reads it as a factor, purely as a market factor?
See, market, whatever happens around the elections, I don't think market reads a lot into that, because this is part and parcel of the democracy. Everyone does that, and after that, everyone comes back to what they do in the normal course of business. So I don't think I read too much into it. Yes, going into elections, what you find is that suddenly some of the stocks which are dependent on rural India or which are dependent on bottom of the pyramid start to do well because there is some transfer of money to that particular space. But that being kept apart on a structural level, one of the calls I have is that these interest rates are going to peak out now, and maybe one, two more hikes globally. India, I don't expect a hike from here on, but globally one or two more hikes, and then we are going to peak out from that point of view. And which means that some of the long duration portfolios or long duration stocks may start doing well as such. And also the one segment of the market we just talked about, NBFCs, it's quite positive for those people. And at the same time, the way Indian interest rates or Indian regulations are, it's not going to be so smooth for banks because they had a very good period for 2 years, given that the interest rates were rising and given the way we are, the regulations are that they've gained a lot on their net interest margins. And then when the interest is stabilizing, start to fall, again, that lag effect will be visible in their net interest margins. But that will be positive for the NBFCs, which are wholesale funded. So yeah, that is one thing we are keeping an eye on.
Lastly, there were some blocks happening in food delivery companies today as well, and you've been constructive there as a house, I would say. But there are a lot of selling which got absorbed by other consumer tech companies as well. Have you looked at any other consumer tech company at a fund level or have been evaluating them? How have the businesses look? Do they look better now? Much more profit conscious managements?
Once we analyze each and every company which is available, right? And these some of the consumer tech companies, you can't sort of stop analyzing simply because one of them can become big. So buying or not buying is a different thing, but yes, we keep analyzing every stuff which is available there and which is large. Now, having said that, see, one of the structural changes again here which has happened is when these companies listed, they were only talking about growth and the market was so buoyant on the private equity side that the growth was being funded despite these companies burning a lot of money. But over last 2 years, we have seen a lot of these companies talking about profitability. So, and that way, if you get, see, and a lot of these companies have got huge moats. They are very large. They have got huge moats available. It was just that they were just prioritizing growth over profitability. And now there is a focus on profitability. So yes, that makes a sense. Makes me believe that one should get more and more constructive on this particular segment. But again, I would say that we are not going to sort of get into each and every one of it because we need to analyze and find which management to bet on.
Your house has really recently conducted a very big conference where we got some big management commentary as well. Any of the industry leaders or from the policy side whose speech you may have heard made sense to you, something which caught your attention in there?
So see, the conference was from our different part of the business, right? That was our institutional equities which they there. So I think we participated as investors only in that particular conference. Yes, there were a few companies which we liked, and there was a focus on manufacturing, which we definitely thought that it's something which is happening in India, and then one should be aware that manufacturing can become a huge value creator going forward. Again, when I say manufacturing, you need to be clear that there are so many segments in manufacturing. It can be infrastructure related, it can be sort of EMS related. So we need to be slightly selective on that. But manufacturing was one area which came out quite starkly.
Yeah. All right, Santosh, we'll let you go on that one. Thanks so much for your time. Always enjoy our conversations. That was